Yes, welcome back. Well, Juventus leave Old Trafford with 3 points as they take control, firm control of Group H. Manchester United, well, now they appear to be in a battle with Valencia to get out of the group. There is the table. Valencia and Young Boys drew 1-1 earlier on in Switzerland. The next round of fixtures, well, as you can see, Manchester United go to Turin. They have 4 points to show from their 3 games. Valencia with 2 points from their 3 games played. Richie, I suppose, look, you know, Manchester United, they were talking about a bit of a revival at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. An awful first half here. It did improve in the second half, but still not good enough. Yeah,
I didn't buy the talk of the revival. Actually, it's not a bad night for them in terms of Valencia dropping points. So in the context of the group, you know, they're between Valencia and themselves for second spot. But the performance in the second half was an improvement on the first half. But it's still way, way below par what Manchester United should be producing in the Champions League. There was a spell about 65-70 minutes. The crowd got behind them a little bit. They upped the tempo a bit. They were in Juventus' face a little bit and capitalised on some loose passing by Juventus. But overall, you sit there and look, how much work did Chesney have to do in the Juventus goal? How many times was he called upon to make a save? Comfortable save from Martial at the end once Pogba hit the post behind him, but comfortable night for him.
Now, I don't know, Didi, will Mourinho be asked questions either by the TV media or in the press conference later about the future and all that stuff? But, like, is it fair comment that so many of his players tonight were below par? It can't all be him.
No, but it's been happening for a number of weeks or for a number of months now, and no, it can't all be down to him. But at the end of the day, he's responsible for these players. I agree with you. When you've got these players, they're all international players. I expect more. I was big in Rashford and Martial up before the game. Both not been seen tonight, and Martial probably one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time. You know, if you've got these players, they've got to take responsibility and say, well, we may not play the style of football we want to play, but when I do get the ball, I'm trying to do something. And there was not one player on the pitch now where I say he's done himself proud, or he can go home and say, you know, I had a half-decent game.
Maybe De Gea.
Yeah, De Gea, you can make a point for him because he made a few good saves. But if you look at United, as Richie said, it was a spell for a few minutes, 65, 67 minutes, where the crowd started to get behind him. It was one tackle that was won, and they won the ball back, and they attacked down the right-hand side. This is how desperate things have become at Old Trafford, because one tackle gets the crowd behind them. They saw these fantastic players over the last 50 years. This was a shocking performance. It's not for the first time. Valencia was a similar thing. And I just wonder what people, what the board, what Ferguson, or even the manager, what he thinks when he watches this. Because it was, in the first half, at times it was embarrassing. How easy it was for Juventus to go to Old Trafford and dominate a Manchester United team that I think spent a billion quid since Fergie.
That's over 5 years.
Over 5 years.
Yeah, but it's still £1 billion.
But he didn't spend it all. Mourinho didn't spend it all.
We're not saying he did that.
Yeah,
it's the club's in a mess, isn't it? It really is.
Well, commercially, they would argue they're still making money commercially.
It's what happens on the field.
Yeah.
That's what Manchester United is all about. You know, to make Man United, you know, strong commercially is like shooting fish in a barrel. It's easy. It's easy. People flock to them. But if they carry on like this, they won't.
Well,
they'll take their money elsewhere, the big sponsors
exactly,
and so
but
forth.
Woodward said recently they have to invest in the team. They have to, you know, it has to be successful on the pitch. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, but
like, Didi used that language.
Nearly £1 billion since Fergie.
Sure.
Fergie left a title-winning team, OK? David Moyes got very little time, very little money. Maybe Fellaini and Mata he brought to the club. Now, Van Gaal, after David Moyes, spent fortunes, and it was still a mess. And Mourinho was brought in to rescue the situation, and he spent fortunes, and it's still a mess.
Well, he'll argue about trophies he won. Got them in the Champions League.
3 trophies that really don't count in Manchester United.
Well, they never won the Europa League before. They won the
OK,
because they've never been in.
But that's what he says.
OK, but Manchester United are all about the Premier League and all about the Champions League. And tonight, the gulf in class was so evident. It was frightening if you were a Manchester United fan. The gulf in game understanding. You know, the Juventus players looked far more prepared, knew what they were doing. United players didn't know what they were doing. I think Richie said that at half-time, or did you say that? They didn't have any game understanding. They didn't know what they were supposed to be doing. And the manager,
that's the
manager
gig.
takes the book.
He
carries the can for that. The buck stops with him.
They're throwing good money after the bad. He wanted Bonucci, he wanted centre-backs in the summer. He brought Bailly in.
He didn't get them.
Yeah, but he brought Bailly in for 35, 40 million. Lindelof was brought in for 40 million. It's not that he didn't bring players.
There was a player on the bench tonight, Fred, who cost 50 million.
More.
59.
In the transfer window at the start of the season. And as bad as Man United were, Mourinho didn't put him on. Now, what does that say about his choice for Fred? Well, he obviously he spent the money badly. He's looked at him and he said, you're not good enough to go on, even when my team is struggling.
But does this come back to the point we don't know who gave Luke Shaw the extension to his contract? We don't know who signed the player.
Exactly. You're talking here about investing in the team and how do you improve the squad. Usually there's a system in place where a manager picks it out, there's a director of football appointed to do it. They have a manager who they don't support his decisions, that not quite publicly, but they've leaked it to the media that they don't, and they haven't a replacement. So if they're going to have to make changes in the squad, who is doing that? Because they don't seem to trust Mourinho's judgment, which isn't a bad call given some of the decisions he's made. But in terms of the solution, where does it go? Well,
hold on a minute, boys. Hang on. Yeah, it could come down to the last game, which is away to Valencia. Briefly, before we go here on RT2, I suppose, look, just to embellish the point you guys are making about how poorly Manchester United played, the good United play, this is what you picked out. Do you want to... This involves Pogba. Richie, this was you in the second half.
Oh, yeah, the good United play. I mean, this is the only thing that they did to really test Chesney. Came off the post and they were fortunate here, Juventus, that it bounced off his head and went wide. But when you're looking at an hour and a half of football at Old Trafford for Manchester United on a European night, we're used to year after year seeing them really test goalkeepers, look at attacking threat, score goals. Like, this is 2 home games back-to-back now. We've watched them in the Champions League. And they have been no attacking threat whatsoever. We're looking for what kind of a pattern, what kind of strategy is there from the manager, what level of confidence is there from the players. Martial had one of the worst games I've seen from a player in a long time.
Their next 4 games, Everton, Bournemouth, Juventus and Man City, 3 of them are away. Well, Didi, I don't know, would you call that defiant, Jose Mourinho?
Well, he must have watched a different game. What he said, what Smalling said, when we put him on the back foot in the second half, we know they're vulnerable and we showed it. And I think it bordered delusion, what he said, because at no time did I get the impression that United deserved something out of the game or will get something out of the game. They had one chance, which was a mistake by Juventus, where they lose the ball while they start to build up, where Pogba did well. Is unfortunate to hit the post, but it was... they were in a different league than Manchester United, and the fact that the manager and one of the key players think they deserved something out of the game is probably as worrying, if not more worrying, than the actual game.
But the fact as well, Liam, that he's talking about their slow start down to the outstanding quality of Juventus, which we know they have. But the flip side of that is, and you've mentioned about the money that Manchester United have spent, like, they had that kind of quality not so long ago when they were winning this competition, getting to other finals in 09 and 11.
It's gone back a few years now. It's the best part of 10 years there. And things have gone wrong, seriously wrong, since Sir Alex Ferguson has gone. It just shows you what a brilliant manager he was and must have been. You talked about Chesney having a hard act to follow. Anyone following Fergie has shown already that it's a hard act to follow. But I agree with Didi. You know, one shot, and he very nearly scored, Pogba, but one shot that really troubled the Juventus goal is not Manchester United. I don't care if they enjoyed more possession in the second half. I don't care if they won balls high up the field. They just didn't create anything. You compare that to some of the play that Juventus put together. there's a huge gulf. It's like I said earlier on in the programme.
A couple of thoughts for you. David Fogarty has engaged with us here, and he says, do you not think most English teams are outclassed by the top teams in Europe, the likes of Juve, Real, Barca and Bayern? Another comment from Jerry O'Connor. Thank you for this, Jerry. He says, players are not top-level performers. They're doing the best they can, but unfortunately not good enough. None would get into Man City, Liverpool or Chelsea sides. Better spend another billion, Jerry says.
The way they're playing now, I wouldn't put them in those sides either. But I think, to go back to Mourinho's comments, I'm not surprised he handled the interview in that way. He is a man under pressure. He must know that, so he's trying to deflect the conversation away from his own failings to the qualities of the opposition. And a lot of what he said isn't untrue. The defensive qualities of Juventus are there, and they've shown it year after year. Ronaldo up front, a huge amount of quality, but it shifts the chat away from, you know, what did your players offer going forward? What did you do in midfield? What questions did you ask of the Juventus defence that needed them to show a brilliant classical Juventus defensive performance? They didn't need to reach their peak at all because they weren't tested in that way.
Paul Coffey from Twitter, thank you for this, Paul. He says to hashtag ask the panel, when United are playing poorly, it's always Mourinho's fault, and when they play well, the players get the praise. Why is that, says Paul? Why can't the panel recognise that Jose wanted a commanding centre-back and wasn't supported, and now they are leaking stupid goals?
Can I come back to that? I don't know how many times tonight we specifically said that Mourinho was looking for centre-halves in the summer and wasn't supported. So the panel have recognised that and repeatedly said it.
But take the first part of it, Richie. When United are playing poorly, it's always Mourinho's fault, says Paul. When they play well, the players get the praise.
I think it's a combination. The individuals we spoke about tonight who were underperforming and have been for quite a while, and the team have been underperforming for quite a while. Eventually, you can't avoid discussing the manager's role and the manager's failure to address what is a slide. It just looks like a continuous slide into give them the kind of performances they're giving at the moment. So
I can't
touch Mourinho on this one. Go on.
Fred, Bailey, Bailly, Pogba, Lindelof, Lukaku, Matic, Sanchez, all bought by Jose Mourinho. All not performing. Can't pick one out this season that has performed in any way consistently and well. Now, why doesn't the guy recognise he spent, 500 million, 600 million on these players, and they're 10th in the league, and they've not scored in 2 Champions League matches at home. The manager's got to carry the can, and Richie's right. He was very, very good at deflecting, really, a really poor performance when he did that interview. Talked about great Juventus defending and things like that. They didn't have to defend against much, Dara, to be honest, did they? Martial had a nightmare. Rashford had a nightmare. Lukaku had a nightmare. Pogba, one shot, 90-odd million pounds.
Nearly went in, I suppose. But here's the thing. Nearly never won a race.
There's a scenario now with the club where the board aren't supporting the manager to make decisions around the squad. That can't continue. It just can't. The system is broken. Unless
but the next time they get to support him is January in the transfer window. He may not be there. Now,
there's another international break coming up, and we know what the international break can bring. I thought it might happen this international break. I was wrong. That Mourinho might leave. However, they've got to play, I think, Everton at home, Bournemouth away, and Manchester City.
And Juventus away.
And Manchester City.
Arsenal in December, Valencia away
but Manchester City before that international break, Dara, so we shall see. But they've got to have an alternative if they do sack him.
Yeah, well, I don't care what the alternative is. This can't carry on. This can't carry on. And I don't care who bought the players, what the players. These are all international players. And even if he doesn't want half of them, he bought probably most of the team he bought. And there's probably still a fair portion of players there he didn't buy, and he may not want some of them. A manager's there to get the best out of his players. The personnel he's got to his disposal, he's got to get the best out of them. And they are nowhere near. I don't even think he gets half out of the players he's got. And this is a situation which has been going on for too long. As Richie said, we don't know what the relationship is between Woodward and Mourinho. It's certainly not healthy, and I'm surprised the fans keep relatively still, because if I'm a United fan and I've got to watch that dross for 90 minutes, I would have made my feelings known well before the end.